I'm just hoping I can give something back, but I'd also like to get behind the mic. So that's another ambition for 24. But we'll see what happens.
Boxing fans, we're here in Riyadh. Adam Smith, this has been a long time. First of all, I'm glad to see you're okay. I'm glad to see you're well. We had a little conversation a couple of hours ago. It's good to see you in the flesh. How's things? How's life?
Yeah, look, I'm alive, which is the most important thing for my beautiful family, my wife and 3 kids. It's been a really tough time, a really brutal year. Yeah, look, I had very aggressive cancer, and fortunately I had an amazing medical team who have saved my life, and I'm cancer free, and I'm here to fight another day. I'll take it a day at a time. Everyone's precious, and I got a different perspective on life. It's been a real awakening this year, and I'm very lucky. And I've been spending my time doing some work with the food bank in Acton and the homeless, and but obviously I've got to look to get back to work, and I'm here in Saudi. I'm excited about the fights this weekend. It's nice to be asked to come over, and I'm looking forward to getting back and doing some cool stuff. I've left Sky after 29 amazing years. It was an incredible journey. I had some phenomenal opportunities and wonderful nights. Great people at Sky Sports who I miss on a daily basis, but the right time to move on and look for new challenges, and I've got a bit of a blank canvas, so if you come up with some suggestions, let me know. I'm excited. It's a nice time, and I'm healthy, which is the most important thing, and hopefully by the new year I'll be really strong and ready to go again.
Like I told you when I met you for the first time a couple of months ago, was boxing misses you. So it's good to see you, good to see our events. 2024 is going to be a big year for yourself to get back into boxing, whichever role that may be. Let's talk about why you're here and what fights are going to happen on Saturday night. First of all, Anthony Joshua, a man that you know really well. In a potential banana skin against Otto Wallin, who's done well against Tyson Fury, was underdog against Murat Gassiev and beat him. Give me your thoughts on this fight. Is this a banana skin for Anthony Joshua?
Well, first of all, it's lovely to be here, and thanks to Tyson's team and to AJ's team. It was brilliant just walking in and seeing all the fighters and the promoters. I mean, it's amazing that they've all got together almost under one roof, and what they're doing here in Saudi. Eddie and Frank and Shelley Finkel and everybody. It was Sauerland's here. It's fantastic. And seeing AJ and seeing Deontay and Joe Parker and Andy Ruiz is around, and lots of fighters, and it was really emotional actually yesterday. I had a long chat with Deontay, and it was a bit of a reunion for me, and it's just lovely being here and seeing everybody again. As for the fights themselves, they're both interesting. I mean, obviously the setup is AJ and Wilder, but we know that things can happen that are different in boxing. Look at Tyson's last fight. It was a poor night for Tyson. He got away with it really after a very bad performance, I thought, but he'll be very different animal when he fights Oleksandr Usyk, I believe. But Anthony's had a couple of good wins since I was last here with him for the Usyk rematch, and he's got some momentum. I like Ben Davidson in his corner. Really rate Ben, and I think obviously he knows Otto well. He knows Tyson, having been with him for so long, and look what he's done with Lee Wood. I think he's a good guy, and I think that Anthony is a learner. He's a sponge. He still wants to learn, and there's that competitive element to him, and I think he's ready for this. He beat Otto Wallin in the amateurs. There's no reason why he can't go and do it again in the professional ranks. I think he'll box smartly, and the one thing is that Otto's a southpaw, and he struggled against southpaws. Joshua in the past, I mean, he won the world title against Charles Martin, but that didn't last long. Take that aside, and he was stopped in the amateurs by a southpaw. He's lost twice to Usyk, obviously. Otto Wallin's not in Usyk's class, but he's a good, solid professional who could ask AJ plenty of questions. If he gets in a rhythm, that's interesting. Same with Joe Parker against Deontay Wilder. If Joe can get in a rhythm, he's been active, and he'll fancy his chances. He's got some speed, he's got some boxing intelligence. He's had Tyson in his ear, he's got Andy Lee in his corner. However, he won't have been hit as hard as Deontay Wilder can possess that power. So he's He got knocked out, didn't he, by Joe Joyce, and that's the worry, that if Deontay lands, it's possibly good night with the right hand. But if you can keep away from that, if you can box clever and frustrate him, who knows? I see it a little bit like the Luis Ortiz rematch, where Deontay lost rounds, but ultimately he had the equaliser. And I don't think I remember in my time in boxing somebody with the single concussive power, single punch concussive power that Deontay Wilder possesses. You've got to go back to an Ernie Shavers probably, Mike Tyson's combinations and George Foreman, Big George. But in this generation, Wilder's power, unbelievable. However, you're in a generation with the likes of Joshua and Fury and Parker and Dubois and others that all will fancy their chances against Deontay, as we've seen. Tyson managed to do it, and what a trilogy that was, and still Deontay comes back. He's a great guy, he's a great human being, and he's a fantastic power puncher. Has he got the skills to deal with Parker and then deal with Joshua? We wait to find out. That's why we're here.
A lot has been made of Anthony Joshua. Unfortunately for Anthony, with the status comes the pressure and comes the media pressure. He seems to be under a microscope on everything he does. If he's happy, there's a story. If he's not talking, there's a story. If he goes in a dark room, there's a story. What do you make of that? Does that just come with the status? Same thing probably applies to Tyson Fury, probably more Anthony Joshua though. One
of the things I'd quite like to do on my blank canvas is help sportsmen and women more. I really do want to do that. I've mentored Savannah Marshall and a tennis player called Daniel Altmaier. I've been very close to AJ, obviously, other fighters, Ricky Hatton, Joe Calzaghe, plenty sort of Nassim Hamid who've come through the Sky ranks. And I think that there's always pressure. With AJ, it just adds tenfold. Everybody's after him, everybody's looking for this, that and the other. Is he mentally weak? Is he gun shy after what happened with Klitschko and Ruiz and all of that? Well, AJ's a fighter, he's a competitor, he's a warrior, he's a former two-time world champion, and I just look at what's in front of him. He managed to deal with Robert Helenius last time out. Now he's got Otto Wallin, and then he'll fight probably Deontay Wilder next, and he wants to fight Wilder, he wants to fight Fury. I don't think there's anything in his head that thinks otherwise. He wants to win, but he knows he can be beaten, and he's got some vulnerabilities. That adds to the excitement and entertainment of Anthony Joshua. But what I want to get into is helping athletes and with real support. And I think obviously that transition from a career into life after is really difficult, and all the pressure that these men and women have on them at top level is huge, and they've got to focus on that win. And I'd like to help support in some way, shape or form if I can. So that's out for maybe next year. And Anthony and I have gone through a lot together. He was a special fighter for Sky, and Freddie Cunningham, Andy Bell, KD, the whole team, very close to. And I obviously would like to see him come through against Otto Wallin and fight Wilder, but you never know in boxing. And as I said, he struggles with southpaw, so that gives Otto a chance.
That's actually a good incentive in regards to the aftercare fighters. There isn't much help. We've seen Cal Brook, who's openly admitted that he struggled after boxing. There's been a lot more. Oscar De La Hoya is another one who's come out and struggled after boxing. Is it your connections within boxing and just knowing how to deal with these sort of people who are fighters, just to make sure that they're in different avenues? Is that what you're going to be looking at doing?
I want to give back. That's what I want to do, right? I've been through a real life-changing year, and I've got to earn money for my family, but I also want to mentor, and I'm working on a business with some really smart people, and we're going to help athletes. That's the idea. It's going to help men and women in sports, boxing, and hopefully others. And the idea is to really help look after them and help them grow and help them understand that there is sort of life outside of the ring or on the court or on the pitch, and that they're all going to have to retire at some point, and they've got to be prepared for that, because I think it's really difficult. I've just left Sky after 29 years. It's a long time. I've grown up with them. You cut me open and I bled Sky. I've absolutely worked from morning to noon to night with Sky for so long and loved it, and it's finished and I'm moving on, and it's a different world. So for me it's a transitional change for my health as well, and I think that I've had a lot of experience in boxing as a young reporter around the world, as a presenter commentator, as a head of boxing at Sky, and a strategist working with all the promoters from Frank Warren to Frank Maloney to Eddie to all of them. Now Frank Kelly, I'd like to see Kelly again actually, and also the Sauerlands, and I've worked with a lot of great promoters. Ben Shalom, has been really interesting working with him for that last year at Sky, and he's doing great. So I think that I've got that knowledge maybe that I could help, certainly within boxing. I've also worked in the darts world, and I love tennis and football and loads of other sports. So I'm just hoping I can give something back, but I'd also like to get behind the mic. So that's another ambition for 24, but we'll see what happens.
Hopefully the doors open up massively for yourself. I do want to talk about a fight you've just mentioned there, and the fighter you mentioned, Tyson Fury. The biggest fight that we're going to be seeing in a long time is the undisputed in the heavyweight division. Last time it was done, it was Lennox Lewis, but that was a long time ago. Talk to me about this one. John Fury said, listen, the last time the camp was a bit of a circus, it wasn't up to scratch. There were things going on that weren't up to scratch. Maybe that's why we saw Tyson, who wasn't up to scratch himself. This time around, what do you make of that? And this time around, does Tyson need to make sure everything is on point as per what John Fury said?
Terrible night at the office, wasn't it? I was watching at home and no one gave Ngannou a chance. Of course, it was a really great performance from him. He stepped up, he shocked everybody. But Tyson was poor, really poor, and he knows that. I thought it was probably his worst performance since John McDermott. Look, he struggled with Otto Wallin. He struggled a couple of times, Tyson. Sometimes he can blow hot and cold. He'll be red hot for the Oleksandr Usyk fight. He knows it. He'll be absolutely right. And I just think he probably overlooked Ngannou. I don't know what the build-up was like, but he probably just thought he could use it as a bit of a glorified spar, which is sort of what it was looking like until Ngannou got very, very confident, and it was a really close fight. And Tyson was lucky that night, but he's gone back, and listen, he'll be a different animal, a different beast. He'll be the proper Tyson Fury against Oleksandr Usyk. I have no doubt about that.
Let's talk about Oleksandr Usyk then. Talk about Tyson Fury there. How much of a special fighter is he? A lot of people I speak to though are saying, listen, Tyson too big, too strong. But how much of a special fighter is Oleksandr Usyk, and what can you do on February?
It's a privilege to have been around Oleksandr Usyk. He is a very, very special fighter and human being. Absolutely adore him, adore his team. I think he's been brilliant for boxing. I mean, not only a stellar amateur, hundreds and hundreds of amateur wins, but as a professional, to clean up at cruiserweight and then to come up and reign at heavyweight, beating AJ a couple of times and now going in with Fury. I just think it's a phenomenal story. The Ukrainian element too, and what's happened there, and what he's done. He's gone back on the front line, and his friendship with Vasyl Lomachenko and the Klitschkos. I just think he's an extraordinary man, and you'd be an absolute fool to write him off, even against Tyson Fury. Yes, Tyson's bigger, stronger, and he's going to be very, very hard to beat. Tyson, we know that, especially when he's on song, which I think he will be. But Usyk is a very, very, very good fighter. He's a terrific southpaw, a talent. Tony Bellew and I have had a lot of conversations about what he was like to fight, and he just said he just makes you tired with everything, the feints, the magic, the way he controls a ring. And I think of other fighters in this generation who've controlled a ring like that. I think of probably on the other side of the pond, Floyd Mayweather, and maybe for us in Britain, Joe Calzaghe. But there's few fighters that control a ring better than Oleksandr Usyk. I think he's a magical technician. Maybe Lomachenko, maybe his friend Lomachenko too. Very, very special fighters, the pair of them. Yeah, and I think we'll really miss him when he's gone. But he'll have a tough task against Tyson, but that's what we want to see. It's the undisputed, and look, the Ngannou performance, it gives Oleksandr more confidence, doesn't it? Then you look at his fight against Daniel Dubois and you think maybe not, but listen, you never know. It's a great, great fight, and I can't wait for it to happen, and let's hope we're both here for it.
Final one before I do let you go. Turki Al-Sheikh, he stood up in the press conference in London and he named a couple of fights that were potentially going to get made in Saudi. One was Bivol Beterbiev.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, Adam, what fights would you like to get made? Now it seems that the doors are a bit more open. The promoters are going to work with each other. what fights would you like to be get made?
Oh, wow. I'd like Gervonta Davis over maybe in Saudi. Devin Haney, I think, is around. I mean, there's so many fights around those weight classes. I think what we want to see, Terence Crawford against Spence this year. We've had Garcia against Davis. We've had good matchups. You know, even last week with Sonny Edwards and Bam. I mean, it's been a good year for matchups. It's not been a great year, 23. I don't think, for the big spectacle, the big events. And I think 2024 will give us that. If AJ and Deontay get through, that's a fantastic, probably the best fight in boxing in terms of excitement and the jeopardy in it. And then Oleksandr Usyk and Fury. Yeah, I'd like to see Beterbiev and Bivol, or Callum Smith if he can beat Beterbiev. I'd like to see that. Yeah, there's plenty out there. There's a lot of matchups that can be made. Heavyweights, you know, you can spin them around a bit, can't you, and go again with those. But I think you've got to go with some of the big fighters from over in America. I think I'd like to see Gervonta Davis over here. I'd like to see, well, will Canelo come? I don't know. Saudi seems to be the destination at the moment. We mustn't forget Britain, and having big fights in Britain is really vital. You know, I think that's still really, really important. But Saudi are obviously putting a lot of money into this, a lot of time, and yeah, they're making the impossible happen. Who would imagine Eddie and Frank sitting there at a table together, chatting at the head-to-heads? It's extraordinary. You know, I've been with both of them in different times of the Sky career, and I never thought that was possible. Well done, George Warren and Spencer Brown, for making that happen if they did. But you know, anything's possible in boxing. And it's obviously that Turkey has a really big vision for fights over here, and you can see everything that's just being built is incredible. I haven't been here for probably 15 months, maybe. I came last summer, yeah. So, and it's just a massive change. I went to Jeddah, but I haven't been to Riyadh for a while, and this is just very different here. So yeah, we wait and see, and let's hope that 2024 brings some big fights. But in Britain too, I think it's really important to have our fights too. You know, Wembley and you know the big arenas like the Manchester Arena and the O2 need to be full still. We need to have that. But yeah, look, Saudi are doing something different, and we're all here because the big fights are happening.
Adam Smith, always a pleasure seeing you. Even more pleasure seeing you today and spending a bit of time with yourself. Good luck with everything that you're going to do in regards to your new business, and hopefully with Aftercare, and hopefully we get to hear you on commentary at some point as well. But yeah, thank you so much for talking to Pro Box fans. We will speak to you soon. Adam Smith, thank you very much.
Thanks very much.